You know, judging from the rousing reception that Gary got when he walked in, this introduction is totally unnecessary. But for the record, good evening and welcome to Politics and Prose at Union Market. I'm Brad Graham, the co-owner of the bookstore, along with my wife, Lissa Muscatine. And we are, of course, very, very excited, as you all are, to have Gary with us this evening. Of course, he's here to talk about his new book. We are experiencing a slight delay, parentheses, tips, tales, and travels. This is Gary's third collection of essays following the success he had with his first two, Do You Mind If I Cancel, which came out 5 years ago, and Start Without Me, which came out 2 years ago. Unlike those very amusing previous books, the new one is filled with extremely humorous reflections on Gary's experiences, in this case involving travel. Gary, of course, is known particularly for his sharp observational comedy, drawing on humor, in case you didn't know that, drawing humor from everyday situations and social interactions. He's been entertaining us for quite a while now, more than 25 years as a writer for Family Guy, also as an executive producer on Will and Grace. We rehearsed this, ahead of time. And is co-creator and writer for the British sitcom Vicious. Then too, there's Gary's Instagram account featuring a satirical post about Prince George and the British royal family, which inspired the creation by Gary several years ago of the animated HBO series The Prince. Okay, just a few more sentences, again, for the record. And we are experiencing a slight delay. Gary shares stories about his varied trips around the world, musing on how professional success has changed the way he travels. And he offers an array of tips for the rest of us. The book's Vintage Gary, showcasing his wit and wry wisdom on both the wonders and wariness of travel. Do you see that 4 W words all strung together? Please join me in welcoming to Politics and Prose, Gary Janetti.
Thank you for that very kind introduction. Yeah. Hi, guys. First up, can you hear me okay? All right. This bookstore is lovely. I also love DC. I like it around Union Market. Have people been to that restaurant, Masseria? Am I saying it right? Yeah, it's good. I went here a few years ago, and now you have Pastis across the street and Outpost. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna read something, and then you can come in, sit. Hi, what's your name? Are you here for me? No, I didn't know you. Oh, you guys are just shopping. Okay. Well, Brad, they're also shopping. And by the way, please do. Yeah, it's just me. I don't care. Nothing will distract me. If your phone goes off, if you're filming me, I don't care. Yeah, I'm totally fine. So I'm gonna read an essay that I haven't read before for you guys, okay? And then if anybody has any questions, I'll answer some questions, and then we can kind of hang out and I'll, whatever. Does that sound like a plan? Does that work for everybody? It won't, obviously it's not gonna be that long. Also, you got here in traffic today. Was it weird, right? Oh, sorry, it was harrowing in our car, by the way. Harrowing, Tom will attest. There was no story there because I was, yes, frightened for my life, but I'm here with you. Okay, so this is from my new book, We Are Experiencing a Slight Delay, and I wrote 3 chapters about London and my time in London and things about London, 3 things that stuck out to me, and I'm gonna read one of them. I have not read it before. I have not prepared it, rehearsed it, I don't know. It's not very long, by the way, it's like 15 minutes. I like to know, by the way. If I take water, I like it when it's like this. Yeah, it doesn't mean like, it's over necessarily, so just give me, yeah. Here we go. Chapter 6, London, the Covent Garden Hotel. When I'm 25, I get a job as a front desk clerk at the Paramount Hotel in Times Square. I eventually become a bellman and spend a good chunk of my 20s hailing cabs and schlepping suitcases. Some of the rooms so small, when I would swing open the door, it would send the nightstand flying. The answer to any and all complaints was always, "This is New York. Too loud, too dirty, too small, too expensive. This is New York." The implication being, we don't give a fuck. Really, what did you expect? It's not Singapore, where it's illegal to chew gum, or Switzerland, where you can eat off the street. People shave on the subway, for Christ's sake. I would say this is New York with a smile and a little shrug at least 100 times a day. And really, what could they say after that? Whether you were scammed by a ticket broker or your husband was knifed in Hell's Kitchen, a shrug and a "this is New York" would fit the bill. I can't think of any other city in the world with an equivalent get-out-of-jail-free card. We were responsible for nothing. Any complaint was in the hands of a force far greater than our own. Room service could deliver a tray filled with human feces, and if you called down to the front desk, the response would still be, "This is New York," as if, what did you think was going to happen when you ordered room service? Any horror was made instantly explicable just by saying those 4 words. I was often called to rooms in the middle of the night, only to be greeted by a naked guest with a hard-on. Even I thought, "This is New York." Although technically these were not, in most cases, actual New Yorkers, but when in Rome, I suppose. Really, what else was I expecting to find on the other side of that door? Someone wearing pants? At the time, I thought I hated working in a hotel, but 30 years later, I realized I loved it. First of all, I was gorgeous. Thick, long 90s black hair, a tight little body. Too bad nobody told me. I mean, I knew I wouldn't be young forever in theory, but yes, now that I look back, I guess I did think I was going to be young forever. Mostly, I was just young when I was working in that hotel. You know, young. You're definitely not young for long. 10 years at most, and that's nothing. The Big Bang Theory was on longer than that. So yeah, the young part goes by really fast. Young is when you can stay out all night drinking and look the same in the morning. The second you do not look the same in the morning, you are no longer young. You might still be young, but you are not young. Each day in the hotel began as if one were starring in a play. In the locker room, we would change from our street clothes into our trendy uniforms. I had mine tailored to within an inch of its life, and step into the lobby as if onto a Broadway stage. We each of us played a part: front desk clerks, bellmen, room service, guests. It was like we had all stepped out of our lives somehow and decided to take on these artificial roles. Life inside a hotel is not the real world. It is make-believe. We were not our real selves here. This was a heightened universe of decadence and glamour and luxury. Each night was an occasion. At home, I lived in a 6th-floor walk-up apartment with no bathroom sink. But at the Paramount, I played the role of young bellman, flirt, hard worker, and aspiring writer. During my time there, I would carry the bags of many actors, writers, directors, and think, that's going to be me one day. One day I'm going to be in town for a meeting or on location for a film or appearing on a talk show, and I'm going to be the one staying in the hotel. I'm going to get to play the part of the guest. The part that does not require you to change out of your uniform, Cinderella-like, at the end of each shift, get on the subway, and return to your walk-up apartment, brushing your teeth in the kitchen sink. Many years later, long after I have left the hotel, left New York, and moved to LA and become a writer, I get a TV show picked up that will require me to live in London for an extended period of time. In the show, titled Vicious, Ian McKellen and Derek Jacobi have been cast as Freddie and Stuart, longtime partners. And I have cast myself, finally, in the role of Los Angeles writer who will be living in the Covent Garden Hotel. I have stayed in the Covent Garden Hotel many times before during my many trips to London, but we're talking 6 months here. This is a whole other ball game. If I'm being completely honest with myself, I think I may have developed this show just so I could live in a hotel. Like, how could I get to live in my favorite hotel in London for free for half a year? I know. I'm not saying that's the reason I did this show, but I'm not saying it's not either. Are you sure you wouldn't be more comfortable in a flat of your own, the studio asks me. Yeah, the hotel thing is kind of a deal breaker for me, so let's get that going, shall we? So as part of my contract, while in London for the show, I will live in the Covent Garden Hotel. The day I arrive, the exterior of the building is covered in scaffolding. It will only be for a few weeks, I am told. What's a few weeks? No matter, I am in heaven. In short order, I know every employee in the building, swanning through the public spaces as if I'm in my own living room. My favorite waiter shows me to my favorite table, brings me my favorite drink. I come and I go. I say hello, I say good morning, I say good night. I linger at the front desk. I talk with the concierge. I have a drink at the bar. I'm off to the gym. I'm off to work. I'm off to the theater. How was the gym? How was work? How was the theater? My table is always reserved for me in the restaurant, the little drawing room, all mine as I sip my wine in front of the fire. The TV show becomes almost a distraction from my role as favorite. The British spelling is intentional. Jonathan, my editor, who is British, don't flag it. Long-term hotel guest, one that requires me to do nothing other than smile, wave, be charming. My room is a dream, a complete and utter dream. Fabric on the walls, a tub and a little sofa, an electric kettle for tea. What more does one need? I usually wait for a laugh, but you know what? Guests come and go, but I do not. This is my home. I pad into the lobby in my slippers and robe, grab an apple off the front desk, pick through the newspapers, idly chat to Dylan or Nikki or Kara. In for the night, in for the night. I pad back up to my room. This goes on each day, this heaven. Everyone knows me, and I know everyone. Are you joining us for breakfast? Are you joining us for tea? Are you having the burger tonight? I am, I'm not, I think I will. My newspaper, my book, my phone, my props. As I sit, as I watch, as I say hello, as I say goodnight, as I say the sun's out, as I say it gets dark so early, as I say, how was your day off? As I say, do you have an umbrella? Here's my umbrella. I'm going to bed. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, good night, good night. And it goes on and on and on. And after a few months, one day, the room feels just a tiny bit smaller, just a tiny bit tinier. And one Sunday, when there is no job to go to, no work to be done, I find myself in my room, alone, wondering how I can get from my little shrinking sofa to the street without seeing another person. I realize, British spelling again, intentional, which, by the way, I am required to do on every script for Vicious. I mean, it's not like you can see the script on TV, but whatever. I do not have another good morning left in me. It seems I have run out. I find myself suddenly empty. The reserve I keep for small talk, for smiling, for engaging with other people, while quite deep, is now depleted. I had clearly not thought this through. I did not know there would be a time limit on the role of favorite long-term hotel guest. And I have reached it. To answer Barbra Streisand's gorgeously sung question, have I stayed too long at the fair? Fuck yes. There is no route to get from my room to the street without passing at least half a dozen familiar faces. They all know I'm in here. They're just waiting for me to leave, I would think, rocking back and forth in my room, the fabric-covered walls closing in on me. If I could have tossed the knotted bedsheets out the window and safely shimmied down the side of the building, I would have. But I am trapped in a room that has become the size of a thimble. The room was a dream, and that dream has become a nightmare. It's nothing anyone in the hotel has done. They are all lovely, don't get me wrong. It's not you, it's me, I want to tell the hotel. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone and one day and woke up and realized, I'm back to American spelling at this point in the essay, Jonathan, I don't ever want this person to touch me again? Well, that's how I feel about the hotel. I don't want it to ever touch me again. I could pretend things were okay between us, but we will never be close again. Not like before. It's as if a switch inside me has suddenly flipped. Life inside a hotel is not the real world, and I want the real world back. I want my real life back, my dog, my husband, my bed, my home. But I still have a few more weeks left, and what was once heaven is now hell, like so many things eventually, if you get right down to it. Everything all right today? Can we get you anything? Is something the matter? I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. I consider checking into another hotel, one where no one knows me, in order to come and go in anonymity. but I don't trust myself enough not to just start the whole thing all over again. I stay the last weeks. I go through the motions, but my heart is no longer in it. I get home, and a month later, I receive an email from an employee I befriended at the Covent Garden Hotel. In it is a photo of the exterior of the building. The scaffolding, which had been up my entire stay, has finally come down all these many months later, and it looks so beautiful. Like life inside those walls would be perfect. I write back, please tell everyone I say hello. Thank you. Thanks, guys.